Hey there, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Unit 1 Electrostatics and we are discussing the applications of Gauss theorem. The fourth application which we are going to discuss is electric field intensity due to uniformly charged infinite sheet, and we know in order to apply the Gauss theorem we always need a Gaussian surface. And now here on the screen you can see that we are having a sheet which is uniformly charged, and this is an infinitely long sheet of charge, and now we need to consider a Gaussian surface. Only then we will be able to apply the Gauss theorem. First of all, you need to know that in this case, in the case of infinite sheet of charge, we are having electric field lines which are acting in this direction and are acting in this direction. So there will be no electric field lines which will be acting in the outward direction, because no charge could exist on the edges of the thin sheet. Let us see what we have. So let us say we are having this sheet and it is charged uniformly. Now we can see its two faces. One is the upward face, and for the upward face the electric field lines will act in the upward direction, and when we will see its lower face, that is this one, the electric field lines will act in the downward direction, but no charges could exist on these edges because these edges are quite thin in case of the paper. That is why there will be no electric field lines which are coming out of these edges, but the electric field lines will leave the surface from this edge, this gray colored face, and it will leave in the upward direction, and on the other face it will leave in the downward direction. So I have shown the sheet in this manner. Now we are having electric field lines which are leaving either towards this direction, because we have kept the sheet in a vertical direction. That is why our electric field lines will leave this charged sheet in this particular direction, and on the other face it will leave in the outward direction. So why electric field lines will act in the outward direction? The reason is that the sheet is charged uniformly and the positive charge is spread all around the sheet. If it would be a negative charge, then we will be having electric field lines acting in the inward direction. So as we are discussing the applications of the Gauss theorem, that means we need a Gaussian surface, as we have discussed in the beginning of the video. Now we will consider a Gaussian surface, but now the best Gaussian surface which we can consider over here is a cylinder. So let me consider a cylinder of radius r. So this is a Gaussian cylinder with radius r and length we can take it as L. The best part is we need a uniform cylinder of radius r and length L, and in order to show it in 3 dimensions I will put another circle over here. So now we can imagine it 3-dimensionally. Now we always need that we need to divide the surface into the 3 parts. So what the 3 parts of this Gaussian cylinder or Gaussian surfaces are? So I will take this part as first part of the Gaussian surface, this lateral part of the cylinder as the second part of the second surface of the Gaussian surface. So I will mark it as 2, and this portion will be regarded as the third part of the cylinder, and I will mark it as 3. Now we know we need to apply a Gauss theorem, and according to Gauss theorem, closed integral E vector dot ds vector is equal to q upon epsilon naught. Here in this case, let us say we are having the first surface, that is the the spherical surface of the cylinder, and this circular part of the cylinder is divided into equal number of infinite parts such that all these parts are quite small, and this portion is representing a small area ds1, but we are always interested in the area vector, and therefore in this case I will mark the area vector pointing away from the area and acting perpendicular to the considered area. So this will become our area vector, and it will be taken as ds1 vector. In second case, this lateral surface is acting as the surface area, and I can divide this lateral surface into infinite number of small parts such that all these small parts will form the small parts of the second surface, that is ds2, and in this ds2 I have this small portion and I will mark it as ds2, but I am interested in area vector, and in order to find area vector we have to make a vector pointing away from the considered area and acting perpendicular to the considered area. So this is our ds2 vector, that is area vector pointing in the upward direction. And similarly in case of third area we are having ds3 surface, small portion of the third surface, that is ds3, and in order to find its area vector it will be a vector pointing away from ds3 and leaving the ds3 surface perpendicularly. So we are having ds3 vector. As we did it earlier, we will do the same thing over here, that closed integral E vector dot ds vector could be divided into three parts, that is closed integral E vector dot ds1 vector plus closed integral E vector dot ds2 vector plus closed integral E vector dot ds3 vector. And we know this summation or this sum between the three different surfaces will come out to be q upon epsilon naught, and we have already discussed this kind of article and this kind of approach when we talked about the applications of Gauss theorem, especially when charge was distributed on a thin wire. Now when we will consider these areas, what we will be finding that in this case, in case of first area ds1 vector, so ds1 vector is pointing towards the left hand side, even electric field lines are pointing towards the left hand side, so both the lines are parallel to each other, and we know the angle between the two parallel lines is 0 degree. So therefore we are having closed integral E ds1, and when we will remove dot sign we will write cos, and angle between E and ds1 is 0 clearly from the diagram, so we will put cos 0 for the first surface plus closed integral E ds2, but now as we have removed the dot sign and we want to solve it, we will put cos, but we do not know the angle between E and ds. So in this case, in case of second surface ds2, area vector is pointing in the upward direction, but there is no electric field line leaving in the upward direction because this charge cannot exist over the edges. That is why the angle between ds2 and electric field lines is 90 degree if we will consider the electric field lines to be towards the right hand side, and even if we will consider the electric field lines towards the left hand side, again the angle comes out to be 90 degree. Therefore in case of second surface we are having EDS2 cos 90 plus in case of third surface, now our third surface, for the third surface area vector is pointing in the outward direction, that is ds3, and electric field lines are also pointing in the outward direction. Again we are getting two parallel lines, and again we know the angle between the parallel lines is 0 degree. Therefore we have closed integral EDS3 cos 0 is equal to q upon epsilon naught. Now we are having closed integral EDS1 because cos 0 is 1, I will put 1 over here, plus cos 90 is 0. For second term we are having 0, 0 multiplied by anything is 0, so for second term the result will come out to be 0. And for the third surface we will be having E ds3 cos 0 is 1 once again is equal to q upon epsilon naught. Now we can write it as closed integral E ds1 plus closed integral E ds3 is equal to q upon epsilon naught. From diagram, it is clear to us that ds1 is representing a circular portion of the cylinder, ds2 is also representing a circular surface of the cylinder, and both these surfaces are same because we have taken a uniform cylinder. So therefore I can say that ds1 is equal to ds2 not 2 ds3, and we can write it as ds say. So this equation will get converted to closed integral eds plus closed integral eds is equal to q upon epsilon naught. From here we are having 2 times closed integral eds is equal to q upon epsilon naught, and from here we have closed integral eds is equal to q upon 2 epsilon naught. Now we are left with the equation E closed integral ds is equal to q upon 2 epsilon naught, and integration of the surface area we will get the area, total area, because we are going to find the electric field intensity because of uniformly charged sheet. Therefore we need to find out the area of the sheet, and area of the sheet could be represented by A, because when this sheet will be divided into infinite number of small parts we will get the area of the sheet, and I will write integral ds as area of the sheet, that is E multiplied by area is equal to q upon 2 epsilon naught. From here I have E is equal to q upon 2 epsilon naught A. Now we can separate out the things, that is E is equal to 1 upon 2 epsilon naught multiplied by q upon A, and we know, now we can recall the definition, that we have surface charge density sigma is equal to total charge upon total area. Therefore we have electric field intensity due to uniformly charged sheet is equal to 1 upon 2 epsilon naught sigma, or I can say E is equal to sigma upon 2 epsilon naught, which is the required expression for electric field intensity due to uniformly charged sheet. So I hope now you have understood this article, that how we can implement Gauss theorem in order to find the value of electric field intensity due to uniformly charged sheet. So if you have understood, then do not forget to press like, subscribe and share button, and do press the bell icon in order to get the latest notifications on my video.